anticipated. But I started down this journey 10 years ago in 2013 as an interview skills coach, helping people prepare for job interviews. And at the time when I was doing that, I was like, well, yeah, I want additional education. I had lots of experience, but I also wanted to be able to say, I'm a certified coach. I really wanted that. It was important to me. And so I started with one evidence-based program with a graduate university, and I felt really good about that. And that was very organizationally focused. There are a lot of coaches in organizations that help their employees and their leaders be the best professional version of themselves. And as I started to continue on the journey and start to open up more into the personal side of things and learning about law of attraction and healing and energy and all these other things that, Barbara, I never anticipated. This was not part of what I expected. As I started to move in that direction, I realized, oh, wait a second, this is going to take a different turn for me. I've got to start to be one of those. I just was realizing, for me, it was hitting home that I think I'm going to have to be one of those coaches that puts themselves on social media and allows themselves to be more visible and seen in all different ways on different platforms. And how do I do that? What does that look like? And so I share that aspect of the story because absolutely, who I am today showing up on social media is absolutely not who I was 10, 8, 9 years ago. It's all started to blend together at this point when that part started. Back then was really scared and like, and nervous and tons of mind chatter and oh my goodness, and doing videos and then freaking out while you're doing it, freaking out after you do it, and letting some stay up there and deleting others. Oh my God.
It's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster. That's a great way to describe it. Yeah. And there's been all sorts of other things in between. So that's just part of where I started and how things started to evolve. So, yeah.
So now I know you hit a lot on, well, first of all, thanks for sharing that. Because when you were talking about how sometimes you take the video down and you're like, that didn't sound like it. That didn't look right. Oh, I didn't look the same thing on me. I don't know how many videos I probably took down or said, I hate that. Or somebody's in the background chattering in my head saying, you shouldn't have said that. It was awful. Now I just be like, you know what, whatever. I'm putting it out there, and if you don't like it, you don't. If you do, you do. And it resonates with the person that needs to resonate with. That's what I say now.
Exactly. I'm with you.
So now with you being this confidence coach, because you are, because usually we are what we used to be. I always said it because I'm, a visibility, purpose strategist, social media strategist. So the big thing for me is purpose and visibility, because I was a part of a person, I was very shy. And people told me that what I'm doing right now, Kim, never fathomed, never even thought I would have shows, never thought I'd be talking to you, that you're a big guru. I wouldn't even think about all that back in the day. And that was, like you said, it's a lot of years past. But I always look at myself as the clients that I help is who I was 10, 20, 12 years ago, and saying to myself, I want to help them because I don't want them to be where I was at that time. I don't want them to feel like they don't have a voice. I don't want them to feel like they don't have the confidence like you do. So did you struggle with that a little bit? And how do you really work with individuals when they come to you in that area?
Yes. So it's so true that who we help today is who we used to be, right? What we had to learn and move through and all of that. And so for me, it's interesting because it's kind of a variety. It's kind of a twofold thing. So I grew up doing theater, singing, doing show choir. I grew up doing things where I was on stage performing, but it was always with a script or something where you know what you're doing in advance. You know what to expect. You've rehearsed it a bunch of times. And so there was that aspect of me that was like, yeah, I'm confident. I like to, I like to do things and be expressive and creative. But in my early 20s, another thing started to show up. And I started here and there having people say to me, you need to be more confident. And I'm like, what are they talking about? I am confident. It didn't make sense. And as I continued through my journey, because I knew that at some point I didn't know I was going to be doing exactly what I'm doing today, but I knew that the elements of creativity, expression, and helping others were things I wanted to continue to build upon and do more of as my career and how I show up in the world. And as I was doing that, I realized there was another element, and it was the whole behind the scenes stuff that you don't see. And it's the areas of my life where I was still wounded and I was hurt. And those things were playing in the background and dimming my light. There were certain ways that I was holding myself back, or certain beliefs I had developed from different, things, relationships that didn't work out, all sorts of things, right? Anything that comes to mind when you think of a wound, emotional wound in your past. And so realizing what those were, having to heal through those, and also recognize the parts of myself that were showing up in a way that may have not made sense to other people, because there was a part of me that was, yes, I like to do things where I'm seen, I show myself. And there was the other part of me that was like, well, but I don't like to brag. You're right. I use that word only because so many other people, they start to confuse these things, right? If you're putting yourself out there in the world, well, then, you aren't humble. You don't know how to be humble. You don't know how to, just keep things to yourself. And realizing that I was going to have to be this coach that learns how to put myself out there in the world meant I had to figure out, well, how do I still remain humble and yet visible? How do I figure out in my head, is it okay to be someone who acknowledges their accomplishments, but while you're not bragging, you're just simply having to put yourself out there so people can see you. All of these things were like intertwined, and I had to figure out, how do I do that? What does that look like for me? And how do I help others do that in their life? And so that has been a huge process, but a big piece of it, you asked me, how do I do that? And it starts with, when I say reclaiming your authentic self, because I think a lot of women, they've at one point known who they are, then they kind of lose themselves through relationships, through work, through unexpected experiences in their life that takes them down a different path. And so it's learning to look at those things, recognize the beliefs we formed about them, and starting to release limiting beliefs, reclaim what is actually authentically true for ourselves, and then how to embody that. And that's, in a nutshell, how I put all that together.
Ooh, that's a pretty package. I love it. Love it. Okay, we got to unpack some of that, because that was a lot of good stuff. So I want to go back to what you said about I love when we make our own awareness of ourselves, we didn't even realize, and what you did, and I've done too. So we're both in the same boat with that, where you're thinking you're doing what you're doing. Like you said, what do you mean I'm confident? What you mean? What you talking about, right? And then come to find out, oops, there are some things that I haven't really took care of back in the, somewhere in the back where people don't really see. And like you said, with relationships that maybe didn't go right, with, your own thoughts that you're like, you still feel like maybe you're not good enough, or maybe there's something really gnawing back in your head, but you kind of pushed it back because you're like, I don't want to hear that right now, because I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. Something happens where all that stuff that you pushed is kind of coming this way. And you're like, uh-oh, what do I do now? Oh no, this stuff is coming in my face. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And then that's the awareness part of it, saying, okay, if I want to even get better, and I think that's what you're saying too, Kim, you have to be the authentic self that you are. Like you said, you have to be totally open to anything that's going around, because I look in the mirror every day and I always ask myself, okay, Barbara, what's next? What else do you have to look at yourself? Maybe there's something that you're missing. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm okay. That word really got me in trouble a lot of times. Oh, I'm okay. I'm fine. People ask me sometimes to the point where my people would ask me, well, Barbara, how you doing today? I'm doing good. How you doing? See, I just switch it real quick because I don't want to go there with them. I flip it real quick.
I hear you. Yep. Yeah, it's so important that we take time to notice those things about ourselves, to look at those things, because absolutely the anything that's hidden in the dark at some point will always come to light. And it's not just for the coaches or podcasters that are putting themselves out there. This is for everybody in the world. Whatever you think is back there, even if, well, I was going to say, even if no one else ever sees it come to the surface, you will. I want to rephrase that, because there are some things that come to the surface from way back in the recesses of a person's past. It will show up. And if it's showing up so strongly for you, other people are going to see it in you, through you. I had a conversation with someone not too long ago, and not going to give anything away, of course, about who it is, but had a conversation with them where something was happening in someone else's life that was a massive trigger for this person I was talking to. And there was nothing they could do. It was coming out through every which way, the tears, everything is just like blah, right? And it's like there's no composure of like who this person was up until that point or how they had been showing up. It was just everything was coming through because of what was triggered from this unexpected thing with someone else, showed up in them and showed up in our conversation. And now today is showing up in other areas of, the person's life. And that's how it happens. And it's happened with me too. I mean, I had my own scenario, I don't know, 15 years ago or something that just was massive curveball. It was a relationship that ended unexpectedly. I had no idea how much unraveling that was going to create for me. But because in situations like that, I really feel like we become forced to look at things. We become forced to deal with things. The longer we choose not to, it's just going to continue to feel as heavy and right. So as you were speaking, can I share? I pulled. So I am into all that woo-woo kind of stuff, and I pulled. Can I share with your audience a card I pulled before?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. It's because for those that know me, this will have some meaning. So I pulled a card. I like to pull cards for myself, for my clients, and I do, some solo episodes of my show. And I said, okay, what's a message that wants to come through for me and those who are going to watch today? And the card that came through, it says, everything turns to light. I work to improve myself, embrace all that life brings to me, and transform darkness into light. I allow myself to grow and become stronger. And I thought that was so powerful and meaningful, especially as you were talking, we were talking here about things showing up.
Oh, I like that.
Because those things that the stuff from the past that shows up, we can think it's so heavy and doesn't serve a purpose and is just creating now a massive roadblock for us. You work through it and it turns to light. It becomes this gift that you've integrated within you, and you get to share with others through various ways. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I just see, this is why I like when we talk, because we gelling. So I love how you brought that out, Queen, because even like you said, the bad stuff, we call it the bad stuff, the icky, and whatever you want to say, but even that turns into light, because you know why? Like you said, because now you make an awareness, and now you're growing from that.
Yes.
And that's why I tell people, even through the worst scenarios of your life, which some people are like, Barbara, really? You're really telling me that this is good? I'm not saying it's good, because the icky stuff I went through was not good. I didn't feel good about it. In fact, it sucked. But when I say, okay, I want to use that, see, that's the choice we got to make. We have to make the choice in our mind to say, what are you going to do with this icky stuff, if you want to call it? What are you going to sit there and be the victim? You're going to sit there and think about it and let it just torment you in your mind and your heart and your soul? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to take this, and there's a lesson to be learned. Plus, I need to help others know they have hope from what I went through and what I dealt with. So that's where the light comes in at, because now you're giving light of hope to people.
Absolutely. Yes. And what I like to say is, because I completely agree with you, right? You're gonna choose to be the victim, or are you gonna, allow it to empower you? And the one part that I always want to speak to is that it's okay to feel the victimness of it. Like, to me, that's like the initial thing, right? It stings, it hurts. You might want to use some curse words. When I get really frustrated, I do. They start coming out. But so, okay, feel what you feel. It's okay that you felt like a victim. And exactly what Barbara was just saying, remember that you have a choice. How are you going to use this? And in that, that's where you get to feel stronger and empowered again. What am I going to do with this? And you may have some insight, you may not. And so there's always hope. Reach out to other people, start to Google online. How do I deal with this? Do some reading, whatever it might be. But there's so many different ways that you can begin to transform through whatever you went through that darkness. We're talking about visibility. It's these things in the past. There's so many things as we're living and trying to move forward in our life. And I'm going to use the word try, because when you're trying to move forward, but you still have all this darkness, heaviness, past trauma, wounds, whatever it is, grief, unprocessed grief that is lingering in the background, that's dimming your light. And you just don't realize that you're trying to move forward, but it's like moving with a ball on your, around your ankle. You're making just baby steps, and that's still progress. But continue to let things unfold as things show up. Recognize, okay, I can deal with this, clear it, and feel freer and shine brighter and be even more visible, and all of that in service to yourself and those that you're here to serve. So that's how it all works together.
I love it, Queen. See, that's why I wanted you on the show so bad. Listen to you talk like all day, which I know that's not going to happen because with time, but I can, because you're just real. And what you said, you're the authentic confidence coach. I mean, that title suits you so well because you've been there. You know how to deal with it. You know how to work through it. And you tell other people it's okay. See, I love when you said it's okay to feel.
Yes.
We're going to feel. We're not robots. We're not going to sit there and be just, okay, I'm okay. Yes, everything was good. Okay, thank you so much. No, we have feelings. We have emotions. So yes, let it out. I mean, there was just 2 weeks ago, I screamed because of something I was pissed off about. And I know somebody thought I was crazy when I opened the door. I'm like, ah. And then I went back in the house. I'm like, okay, I feel better now. but let it out,
And I thank you for coming back to the feeling piece. And that's so excellent what you just shared, because that's a huge part of what I find is missing with people. And I've had my own experiences with it, is the feeling component. As humans, it's so common for us to, as soon as we feel something we don't want to feel, we say, oh, that's it. I'm stopping it. I'm blocking it off, not going there. And we put up this iron wall to protect ourselves. And yet, the flip side of that is now you're also closing yourself off from other things. And so it's got this two-sided thing. So you want to allow yourself to feel things because it's an energy, and you want to be able to release it so that you can realign, make that new choice and say, okay, I felt that. That was really upsetting. That angered me. That pissed me off. And I'm going to choose to come back into a better feeling space, because that's where my greatest power is. And so I could go on and on about that, but I'll stop there. So, yeah.
Well, okay. The second thing, because I know we talked about reclaiming, your authentic self by healing from the past and moving forward. And then you mentioned speak their truth, or speak your truth, right? And I know you touched a little bit on that, but you want to give a little bit more, because that is important.
I completely agree. It is very, very important. And so that is really an extension of what I was just starting to talk about the feelings and allowing things to move through. It's all about acclimating to that new vibration of who you are, that new energy, that new definition of who you are. Are you the person that's walking around with all the stuff from your past being lugged around, operating with the beliefs that you formed from being that person? Or are you now the new person who has healed from that stuff? You've now formed new awareness and beliefs about who you are, about what it means to move forward in your life. And as you have formed those new beliefs, that's all the reclaiming part still, the reclaiming what's true for you, the authenticness, and this is who I am, who I be, how I show up, all of that. And as I continue to live that, embody that in the world, feeling more and more comfortable in who your authentic self is, because it's not about being a cookie cutter of anybody else in the world. There is no other you. you want to begin to now allow that energy to infuse up to the throat. And now what does that mean to speak who you are? Start to live who you are, to allow yourself to speak good things about who you are. Where so much of this goes back to is when I started as an interview coach. This was one of the big things is people, I would have these amazing clients, their resumes is like, they can do all this awesome stuff, but they weren't showcasing that in their interviews. And this extends beyond just interviews, but I'm using this as an example, because they had the limiting beliefs of, well, I don't, like I said before, well, I don't want to brag. I don't want to sound like I'm conceited. That was a lot of it. And it's like, you don't understand when you don't allow yourself to speak your truth and the things that you've already done. It's not bragging. You're literally just speaking facts of, right? You're just literally speaking facts of who you are, what's important to you. Then other people can see you. And that's how they can also go, oh, now we see who she is. And now I know exactly what, I know exactly the position for her. I now know exactly, okay, I heard this wonderful woman, and I'm going to say woman because we're talking queens here today, but of course this applies to men as well. But I see this amazing woman. That's the woman I'm looking for. If you're a woman out there looking for the next relationship, your next, best relationship, your person, your whoever your person is, that other person go, oh my gosh, there they are, because they see you showing up as who your authentic self is, speaking your truth out in the world. And so it's really taking that, yes, from being and feeling comfortable in who you are to the point where you could speak it through your words, your voice.
I love your little dance. I like when you do that.
It just happens.
I love it. I love that. You get me going every time you do that. I was like, yes, speak who you are. Get it.
Thanks, Barbara.
But yeah, so Queen, I'm telling you, there's I used to have that problem where, I wanted always, because I always tell myself I want to be humble in anything I do, because I want to be thankful and be grateful for what happens in my life, what comes in my life. So I don't want to start putting myself on that pedestal too much, because then sometimes that can go all to what's the other side of not being humble, right? Being like, just, some people are like, oh, they're self-centered, they're this and that.
Yes.
And I didn't want people to think of me that way. But then, like you said, Kim, you had to believe in yourself first before anybody else do. So
exactly,
you have accomplished and had victory in a lot of areas of your life. So why not tell it? It's just a way to do. I feel like, to me now, tell me if I'm wrong, there's a way to do it that you bragging on yourself, but then you're not kind of like you said, being self-centered about it. I mean, there's a way to do it, because we all know people that every time you talk to them, every time you see them, it's all about them, and again, it's about them and it's their world, and you're just visiting.
Oh my gosh. And those conversations are draining. Yes, I totally get it. Okay, we don't need to go there. Okay, but Barbara, absolutely. And it is about how you do it. And this is also what I want to just encourage everyone, give yourself grace, because I know that, like, as I started showing up on camera, doing videos as a coach, as a podcaster, and I'd have those moments where I'm like, oh, we got to delete this one. It's like those moments where you realize, okay, that was trial and error. That was not actually, I don't like that. That's not how, that's not right for me. Right. And so you learn, and this is where coaching comes through, because it helps you also help, sift through what sounds right, what feels right for you, how you, all of it, express it, all the word choices, all of those kinds of things. And I think as you learn to share more of yourself in the world, be visible, it's the next level of confidence. It's not just about that. The next level is realizing, okay, there are going to be other people who show up who are still working through limiting beliefs, who may now start to project some of those onto you. And you need to be able to go, okay, what's going on here? Am I what she's saying? I've already worked through a bunch of that. No, actually I'm not. And so it's a whole progression. And as each one of us learns how to shine and simply, be more of who we are in the world, the beautiful, wonderful thing is it truly does have a ripple effect that goes back to that person who's seeing you and might be trying to figure things out for themselves. to start to shine more in their own life. And so they can also come through. And that's me, what it's all about. It's about how one candle lighting the next. And I'm going on and on, but yeah, I'll stop.
I love you. I know, and I love it. So I need to stop myself too, because I love everything about what you're talking about. And I'm glad you touched on this. And then I want to make sure I give you some seconds so you can give some lasting thoughts. But I'm glad you touched on, Kim, about other people who are going to come in your life, and they might spark something that you already feel like in yourself that, okay, I got this, I got that locked, I'm okay. And then all of a sudden they come in and they say something or do something. You're like, wait a minute, where's this coming from? Why all of a sudden this is coming back, or it's feeling like whatever? I thought I took care of that in my life. Sometimes maybe you didn't. Maybe there's still some residue. And then sometimes it just might be them.
Right.
Reflecting what they're dealing with, what their hurts are, and they want to put it, how what's the old saying where, everybody wants to share. I mean, the pity part, they have a pity party, they want to party with other people or whatever. Well, that's what some people do. And you have to really be aware of that, because you can get caught up in something where you've been healed, but they're not healed, or they're going through their healing, and they want you to join the party. And you're like, I've been near that party already.
Yes.
You need to go back. But I can help you,
Right. It's such a good point, Barbara. Absolutely. The difference, the more that you're doing, the more that you're working to improve yourself and just simply doing that inner work. That's all we're talking about. We're talking about healing and doing that inner work. The more you do that, then you begin to notice to what degree, over time, you begin to see, okay, I'm over that. I'm not over that. And just like you said, when people show up in your life, the degree that they trigger you, if they trigger something in you that is painful, that can also tell you, what's left over in you. Like, oh, okay, I still have some there to work through. And that's how, they're a gift, and maybe an annoying gift, but it's a gift because it's like, good. Now you see it. You didn't realize it was there. Now you get to work through that. Or like you said, if something, they're showing up and maybe projecting something onto you, whatever it might be, and you don't feel triggered. You finally are like, wow, this used to bother me in the past, but it doesn't anymore. It may simply be to show you how far you've come, how healed you are now, or maybe that's your opportunity to now give back in terms of, maybe there's something there you can, help them with, speak to them. You will have to discern in that moment, but absolutely, those moments do happen for sure.
You're right, and you got to discern. And another thing, and then I'll definitely let this go because I know you got to leave. I told you we could talk. You got to make sure you still put your boundaries, and I don't mean my boundaries to stop you from learning. I'm just talking about boundaries where things that that might trigger. I mean, you can be in a place for so long with individuals or even yourself, to the point you say to yourself, okay, well, wait a minute, I got to set a boundary up. I mean, I know I'm good. I work through this, but why am I going to put myself somewhere where it could just come to a point where now it's getting, crazy. Just like I tell people, prime example, if you're an alcoholic, why are you going to go to a bar all the time? I mean, right. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, is it a juice bar? I'm good. Is it a bar like drinks and alcohol and stuff? And I'm still working through it, or I got through it, but I don't need to look at that, that drink right now. Then maybe that's a boundary you got to put in your life. And that's okay, because you're basically saying you have to make yourself safe. It's a self-care thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And that's something that I think we learn about ourselves as we step into more of who we are and start to realize, okay, wait a second. Some of the things that I did or allowed in my past when I was the other version of me actually aren't okay now with this version. And so what does that mean? How am I going to redefine that? Things shift. And some of that process can present some deal breakers for some people, like, oh, maybe I'm not willing to shift this much because of, and I just want to encourage people to continue to challenge yourself and be aware so that you are really allowing yourself to be your brightest self and not allowing new fears start to creep up and interfere with that. And I feel like I'm trying to phrase it that way because I could go off on a big tangent here, but I won't do that. So I hope that made sense.
Yes, I know. And we keep talking amongst each other. I'm like, oh, we'll talk about this. I'm like, no, Barbara, that's a second show. So anyway, So that just tells you right there, Kim, I need to bring you back on. Your family, you'll always be family. And
Aw.
you got to come you got to come back and share some more of your genius and have these conversations that we're having because it's very important. And all this really, just putting it in a nutshell here, it has to do with, as I say, visibility. It has to do with, like Kim said, speaking your truth, being authentic, being confident, working through the struggles you might be working through. It's okay. I'm going to say it real slow. It's okay to feel it and to
Yeah.
put it out there and then work through it and then say, I'm going to come on the other side a different person. Like I said, I always say stepping stones of strength in your life when you go through that.
Mm.
So with that, Kim, I am going to make sure you get some love here. So I'm going to take myself down for just a few seconds, leave what you want to leave, your wisdom, and then I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I thank you. Thank you, Barbara. And thank you to everyone who's here today. And I think I will simply end with allowing your light to shine. It's all up to you. It's all up to you how you choose to let your light shine or not let your light shine. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. So when we talk about letting your light shine, does that mean you have to transform from an introvert to an extrovert? No, you get to be, if you're an introvert, you get to be an introvert who shines in your own right. What does that mean and look like and feel like for you? If you're an extrovert, what does that mean? Is it about you looking like all the other extroverts? It's about what is your special sauce. I know Barbara's all about the diamond factor. I absolutely love that. What is your diamond factor? And that's why it's so key to going within and learning who you authentically are. I say reclaiming your authentic self because so often as children, if you can go back and think that far, you felt free. And I know that's not going to be the case for everybody, but if you can recall a time in your childhood when you felt free to whatever capacity, and then are you still feeling that same sense of freedom in your adult life? And if not, what happened? Aside from adult responsibilities, what about the part of you that felt free to just be playful and have fun and be creative and allow yourself to speak your authentic truth? You did that as a kid. And how are you allowing that to show up in your adult life? So that's what I wanted to leave with.
Oh, I just give you a virtual hug right now, Queen. Thank you so much for just being you. Thank you for just being you and showing others that they can be themselves. We need to multiply you. We really do.
There's you, Barbara. It's all already happened.
You know what? If we got multiply you and I, people be like, oh my God. We're running around here.
And with that, I just said, right. I have to just say one more thing, Barbara, because I just said, right, we multiplied and stuff. And that's just it. We see people out in the world who are similar to us, and there's no two. Like I cannot be Barbara, and Barbara cannot be me, and there's only you. So I'm gonna just still define that, right? So
yes. The uniqueness of you and the uniqueness of me is so powerful. But when we come together, it's even, I always say, we blow it up. Somebody always say it to my goddaughter when she's like, why do you say that, God? I say, because you're blowing up in the world. You're making a difference. And she's like,
that.
oh, I like that. So yeah, we are blowing it up. We're making a difference in the world. And please, people, please reach out. Let me put Kim's website again. And Kim, is there any other way that you want them to contact you except the website? I'm gonna keep that up for a minute.
That's the primary way. KimO'NeillCoaching.com, and just note the spelling of it, ONEILL. KimO'NeillCoaching.com is the best way.
Awesome. Yeah, I had to get used to that too, because I kept putting NELL. I don't know why that was.
It all blends together. I know. It's okay.
So again, Kim, thank you for the time. Like I said, you're always welcome to come back. Everybody, please always remember, as I always tell people, that maximize your reach and impact with expert visibility strategies. You always strategize in what you're doing, but always, like Kim said, be yourself, be confident in it, believe in you. If no one else does, you believe in who you are because you have that uniqueness in you. I'm always talking about it. I always say the diamond factor in you, but it could be any gem, whatever gem you like, long as you shine to the world, as Kim said, with the light. Love it, love it, love it. So we will be on the next. If you are interested in being part of the Visibility Corner, please reach out to me. You can basically on all social media, I'm on there. Make sure you reach out to me, and we will make sure that you get a say on this stage. Because, like I said, if you're not being visible, then people are not going to know who you are. People are not going to know you're a genius. People are not going to be able to get help, because what we do with our own selves and what we do with our genius, it can save lives. It can truly save a life. So remember that when you're hiding behind the background, always say to yourself, wait a minute, my gift can probably save somebody's life. Look at Kim. She's saving lives. Hopefully, I'm saving lives. Let you save your life with your uniqueness. See you soon. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.